mate. How are you?
G'day, Tim. What's going on, mate? We're back at it again. Here we are, episode number 3. Excited to be here, mate. I'm excited for today's topic. But
I know. Episode 3. Who thought we would have got here?
I know, right? And like people will be listening to this, I guess, in a couple of weeks' time. But we launched our Instagram account this week, which is exciting. Kind of put a few little coming soons up there, which is yeah, I'm excited. There's some good results, I guess, from people kind of being keen to hear more about it. Yeah, just throwing it out there. So
I
yeah,
know, right?
anyway.
It's real now. It's becoming real. It's not just a thing of, like chatting about it and when are we gonna do the podcast? When are we gonna do the podcast?
I know, right? And I was like, I can't remember if I messaged it or not, but I was thinking, I was like, oh man, there's like no going back now. Like we're in this Instagram there. It means like it's legit, right?
Oh, I know. No turning back. But
That's it.
all right, let's tell the audience what our topic is for today.
So today we're going to be talking about questions we get asked on a regular basis, I guess, in like the initial emails and like probably, yeah, like in general, typically.
Yeah. So this is big, right? Like I get asked a bunch of essentially the same questions almost on a daily basis from new couples. So I think it's probably a really good kind of a good segue into new couples that have just been engaged, and we've done quite a few expos recently, and we've spoken to a lot of like freshly engaged couples, and they're having these issues as well, and we have the same conversation. So yeah, I think it's probably a really good way to provide a little bit of value for these newly engaged couples, and also just to give a bit of value for those creatives out there that want to step up their level of client service as well.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I guess it's all about client experience, right? So, look, if we can tick off some boxes for people early on in the first few couple of emails and things like that, it's always good. And I feel like we always get asked, as you said, the same questions. It's one of those things which, like every couple wanted to know the same or similar things, and it's unavoidable. And, but it is nice if we can, I guess, nut it out today and talk about it, which, I'm excited for. So, yeah.
Let's get stuck into it. Okay.
Yeah.
So first question is, how would you describe your style of photography?
My style of photography. Look, if you haven't gathered already from the first 2 podcasts, I'm pretty relaxed, chilled. I want to have a good time. And I suppose that comes out in the style of my photography too. I'm all about creating a space for you two as a couple to get the best out of your photos, but have the most epic time on your day. Like I'm there to make sure that you guys have fun. And I feel like lately I've been saying a lot that I'm a facilitator of your fun for the day. So like whatever that is that you want, I'm there for it. And so, yeah, if that's high paced, good vibes, like I'm there. If it's more like slow and romantic, no problems. We can do that. But yeah, that's kind of my style, I guess. It's pretty chilled, laid back, relaxed, there for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose like it's good, right? Like, because you're adapting like to the couple. So whether they want to be, a bit more wild, a bit more kind of epic, a bit more fun, or they kind of want a little bit more of like a chilled wedding, keep it like dial it down a bit. It's really about adapting to provide the best for them. So look, in terms of like how would I describe my style of videography? I think it's probably like more candid, like it's natural, like authentic, and like for me, a big one is like unobtrusive. Like I don't like getting in your face with a 24 mil, like getting
Yeah,
in your
no one,
face
no
with
one,
it.
no one needs to see that nose, like that's a bit too
Oh
close for comfort. Fisheye vibes,
man,
I guess, right up in your face.
for sure. Like, and yeah, like it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But look, don't want to hit the mic. But yeah, look, the big thing is I don't like to force moments. I like to bait moments. So it's it's really easy to see when things are awkward on video, right? Like I'm sure you've worked with a ton of videographers before, and like for me, like it is so easy to see when things are like staged, when things are in that in a very posed form, and like it's not treating a day like a production set. It's not treating your wedding like it's a production. Like
That's
it's
it.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think as well, like with pose stuff, especially for video, like if it's posed usually means stiff. Like, you know what I mean? And so posed stiffly in video formats, not going to really work out the way that we all want it. And I feel like when we've worked together, you said to me in the past before, even like, you're like, I just need like them to move around for like 30 seconds. Because realistically, like for photos, I can snap away, I can capture stuff, and I can capture those in between moments, and they're a still image. But I suppose for video, that's where we want couples to move around and things like that. And yeah, like that's how you get those free flowing natural vibes. I feel like I always giggle a little bit when I like going back to, I guess, what you said before of like candid moments. It's because like candid is such a word everyone throws around at the moment now, isn't it? And I feel like, look, there's candid moments and then there's like prompted candid moments. And I feel like that's kind of prompted candid moments are like purposely built around your day and what we want from you guys. Like, I don't think I've ever been to a wedding where I've fully shot a wedding that was like completely Instagram candid, meaning like I've given no direction whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a very like there's a lot of marketing hype around the word candid, and like a lot of creatives will throw like, I'm a candid photographer, I'm a candid videographer. Like,
yeah, we need that SEO base, mate.
Man, I'm ranking up there for candid wedding videographer. But and that's what I was saying before, where like I like to bait moments, and it's not forcing moments, but it's allowing moments to kind of like happen naturally, but you're giving a small amount of like direction to be able to capture like your couple like authentically. And that's really kind of like big for me, because like, especially like in a video sense, like telling a couple what to do is just like a big no-no, because like when they have to think about it, it's already gonna like feel awkward. It's not gonna feel natural.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my segue from this, because it just popped into my head, and I feel like this is also a question that we get asked a lot. So like it's talking about like couples feeling awkward in front of a camera, right? I feel like rather than like just talking about how couples all say that they feel awkward in front of a camera, because I don't think I've ever shot a couple that hasn't said that they feel a little bit awkward.
Yeah,
but
well, yeah, they're not actors, right? Like we're not
dealing
with professional actors.
I've never seen anybody walk in front of my camera and be like, watch me go and model their bum off. Like it's just not something that happens often. And when it does, yes, it's amazing. But potentially there's a little bit of liquid courage involved, right? A little bit of liquid courage never goes astray. But what I was getting at was like, tell me maybe what is your like number one or one or two go-tos that you do for a couple that have never stepped foot in front of a camera before, and you can just tell they're a little bit anxious, awkward, unsure by what is going on. Have you got some hints and tips for us? I've got a couple, but you go first.
And yeah, look, I think this kind of like starts way back, like at the booking process, right? Like for me, it's about getting to know the couple, and this is a big one for you, for all you creatives out there. And if you want to like level up like your wedding films, or your photography, level up your client experience, get to know your couples so you can figure out who they are, what their personalities are like, what their kinks are like, and you can figure out how you can best serve them. So for me, I like to get to know my couples. I like to see if they like to have a joke around. Like as part of my booking questionnaire, I ask them a ton of questions about getting to know them, and then they can get to know me. So then essentially like over that period of time where we're developing this relationship up until the wedding, like I'm not rocking up to their wedding as a random, right? I'm rocking up as a friend that's like, we've spoken, we've met, like we've had a chat, like we've built some banter. So I'm not just coming with a dude in a camera and be like, hey guys, like I'm Tim, your videographer. Like, because for me, that's like, you're already off to a poor start in like getting them, like you're not going to be able to get them to be at a level where they're going to be comfortable with you if they've only just met you. And yeah,
absolutely. And what we do is personal, right? Like that's the thing. At the end of the day, like we do this for a reason. We want to create a story for you guys. And I suppose just what Tim just touched on, like if you listen to last week's episode of our podcast, like we literally touched on a lot of this information, especially when it comes to like talking about having like videographers and photographers that work for themselves, and they're there and they're doing all the background work. And that's a major difference, like because we ask you questions that we want to get to know you, and then that's really going to help us on the day to find out how you guys are as a couple, what makes you click, what gets you excited, etc. I have a bit of a like, I'm going to talk about on the day, like take home value. Here you go, guys. If there's something you want to like, I don't know, find out about how I always
I,
start off
I'm
every
not. I'm
single
not going to give
session.
away my industry secrets.
I'm going to do this one because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of look, I find for me it's quite simple and it's not rocket science, I feel like, because I'm always a fan of making sure
Yeah.
you feel comfortable in front of a camera,
We,
right?
we do have some good ones that we like
Yeah.
to spill out, don't we?
Well, this one is like my most basic simple. It's going back to like kindergarten, right? Like I'm thinking like these vibes. So if you're listening to this podcast, maybe you've got like your partners near you or something like that. Play this game with each other in a minute. You know, like wait till we finish the podcast though. But you know, when you get off this podcast, go and play this game with them. So I'll always be like, hey guys, like, you know, how long you been together for? And if you're like, I don't know, 5 years, I'm like, oh, well, you should be able to read each other's minds, right? Like it's very simple. Like you're getting married, so there should be some like kind of 2 cent like thing going on there, and you should better read each other's minds. And then I'm like, okay, on the count of three, I'm going to give you a subject, and then I want you guys to try and say the same thing at the same time. So, for instance, it might be, I don't know, something very simple like color. Okay. And I'll go 1, 2, 3, go. And they have to try and say the same color at the same time. It's literally the most kindergarten basic game, right? But it always brings out laughs or maybe a little bit of a like, how do you not know that color? Or couples are always confused by what color that they're saying, whether it's like their partner's favorite color, their favorite color. So it always just brings out a bit of fun. Look, stuff like that for me is kind of the basis around how I shoot. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. It's not rocket science. It's literally just to instill a bit of fun and show you guys that it's okay to move and to laugh and to, you know, cry if you don't get one right. Like whatever that looks like.
Yeah, 100%. And like I think we always kind of start like, especially the portrait session, we start that session like at a really kind of like high vibe, and you know, try and bring a bit of strong banter in. And it's really funny after we kind of finish with the bridal party, and we go like directly to like bridal portraits with the bride and groom, and we may get them to like face each other, you know, get them to like cuddle up, and they may be thinking, oh, we're gonna have a bit of a moment here. And then we tell the groom to whisper in the bride's ear. Usually we say the left ear or the right ear, depending on which side we're on. And the groom has a bit of trouble figuring out which ear that is, but that's all right.
He gets there eventually.
And do you want to say the punchline?
Oh, you can say the punchline if you want. You love it. This is your favorite go-to.
Oh, I love it. I love it because it never fails. It never fails. It always brings a laugh, and I'm always like focused on the bride's face at this time.
Yeah,
because she just cracks up like at every stage, and it's whisper your three what you had for breakfast in your sexiest voice. So I'm gonna say that again. So I'm gonna whisper what you had for breakfast in your sexiest voice.
Yeah, such a good one. I also throw in there sometimes like your 3 favorite vegetables, or maybe it'll be like your 3 favorite takeaway foods. I remember a few weeks ago I did this with a couple, and the dude was just like all in. He was all for it, and I did the like takeaway foods, and he was just like, foot longs. It was just like, and I was like, mate, that was not a whisper. That was like proper dirty talk at the top of your voice. Like it was so great. Yeah, it was
so
awesome.
Good. Like there's sometimes like I'll even tell the groom to like whisper dirty things like in your wife's ear.
Yeah, just generalized, whatever you want to do. Like I don't know why it always comes to back partly sexualized, but anyway, it just is. But that
always raises a vibe.
Yeah, that old whisper in the ear, like, look, you can't really go astray with it. It automatically instills you guys to be like close to each other. You know, it's something that I guess like brings a little bit of intimacy in, because I find sometimes if you're feeling awkward in front of the camera, you don't always want to get close to your partner. And like, it's funny because you just got married and you guys like, it just like you pull the camera up in front of your face and it's just you guys and you're vulnerable. Like, so we are always trying to instill that like confidence in you guys to get close to each other. Like I'm all about saying smash those hips together, because if you're smashing hips together, that means you cannot get any closer. Like it's very simple.
Are we talking about bridal portraits still?
Oh yeah, sorry, my mistake. What a stitch up! Throw me under the bus, mate. Love that.
But see, like already, like we're talking about like how to like not be camera shy, right? And I don't know, like I just feel like we've already had such a laugh. Like we get so much out of this, and already I'm sure if you're a bride listening, you're like, yeah, like if I was camera shy, like I'm sure I would have laughed by now.
Yeah, and I've said it to couples before, like in like initial meetings with them, and they're like, "Oh, like we're worried about being in front of the camera," and I'll say that to them, and most of the time, like they're not even like they start laughing by the thought of what the other person would say. So a lot of the time, they could literally come in and say like Kentucky Fried Chicken in a normal voice, and they'd start laughing purely because they were either expecting more or they were like expecting like it to be like in a really sexy voice, but it was just stock standard, like there's just like there's so many opportunities, I guess, for that. And we can like from there, I guess we learn how you guys are together. We learn how you like interact with each other, and then therefore like we just build on that from there. But I do want to say like we're not just all about the like whispering sexy stuff into each other's ear. We're not all about just always like having a laugh and having a great time. Like 100% that's the main aim of the day. But I do think there's always images that we want and, footage from like our couples that is not just like fun laughter stuff. There is always going to be an element of romantic vibes to that. And I know that's weird to say coming from two blokes, but there always is a bit of vulnerability there when it comes to, I guess, your wedding day. And yeah, I think that's really important to have too, regardless of the vibes.
I like to think of it like a roller coaster, right? Like we start off kind of like building a bit of momentum, like we bring the banter, have a bit of fun, like play some games, like really kind of have a bit of a laugh, like get you guys relaxed as much as possible. And then we kind of move into like more of that like kind of intimate style where, like you said, like we really want to try and get you to a point where you guys are so comfortable with each other and having us like nearby that's like we can capture that intimacy, so to speak. So like, yeah, like in terms of like my videos, yeah, like I love to add in the fun, but there's also that element of like intimacy and romance within the film as well. And it follows like a story of essentially like a roller coaster, is how I like to use the metaphor, because like that's what it is. Like it's telling your story, and it's like the highs and lows, the fun parts, the romantic parts. And yeah, like it's
and the majority of days are like that too, right? Like the majority of days aren't just like straightforward, and they're not just like, everything's perfect and lovey-dovey from the start to finish. Like there's times in the morning where you're like freaking out a little bit. There's times of like, like at the end of the ceremony where you're pumped and excited, and then it goes back down again, and like then it goes up. And that's, I think, like the best part of it. And I think for us at the end of the day, we're building rapport from day one. From the first email that we send you guys, like we want to start building rapport. And I think that rapport, and the more comfortable you are with us, the better your experience is going to be on the day. And therefore, like I'm not going to walk into a session ever and expect you guys to get romantic with each other the second that I pull up my camera. And like, that's why we start off with fun and we work our way through towards the end of it. And by the end of it, we're kind of just like going through the motions essentially. And we've automatically slid into a little bit more of a romantic state. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And like and this is what we mean by like our approach on the day as well. Like by getting to know you, we know exactly who you are. And like a question that we always ask is in regards like to the portraits, and it's like, what's like, do you value in regards to the portrait side? Like, do you want to get photos and videos as quick as you can and then get back to the party, get back to canapes? Or do you want to spend a bit more time exploring like where we are, like, and really utilize that time to get as many photos and videos? And it's like all of these things which set the expectation, so we know exactly like how we can best serve you guys. So I think that's it's a really big one for me as well, because like during that conversation that we have, like up to a year and a half out from the wedding, it really kind of sets the bar and the expectation of who are we talking to and how can we best like make sure that this like wedding is going to be epic for this couple. So that's a really kind of big thing for me as well. Like I don't just come walking into a wedding shooting it like wondering, oh, like I wonder if these guys want to spend like their whole hour like for portraits, like doing photos and videos, or would they prefer to just like get a bit done, have some fun, and then get back to canapes.
That's it. And you just read my mind, because when you were talking that, I was like, I was just thinking about like how much, like a question I get asked a lot is like, how much time are you going to take me away from my guests during like the portrait session. And I feel like there's a misconception idea that a lot of people think that we are going to steal you away from from your guests for hours on end. And
yes, we're gonna steal you away. We're gonna put you in our car and we're gonna drive to a cliff edge, and then we're gonna take some photos on an X.
Yeah, and we're like never coming back. And I feel like for me and Tim, like both of us, like we want to make sure that we utilize that time effectively, but we also want to make sure that we're not stealing you for hours on end. So therefore, for me, like I'm like, in a perfect world, if you have a bridal party, I need the bridal party for like 15, 20 minutes. And then like, yeah, sure, I might need you guys for like 45 minutes to an hour, but that's in total throughout the whole day. So if you're getting married like in summertime where it gets dark at 8 o'clock at night, like we only might need to do portraits for 2 sections of 30 minutes each. Like that's all it is. And yeah, it's very straightforward and simple. So I guess that's also a question that we both probably get asked a fair bit is like, how much time am I going to be away from my guests because I don't want to be, or we want to do portraits earlier in the day and then get our ceremony done so that we can be with our guests for as long as possible.
Yeah. For me, it's probably half the couples, I reckon, like want to get photos and videos done like as soon as they can, and then get back to the party. And then the other half, like, no, we want to spend like as much time as we can, like walking around the grounds, making sure that we can like utilize this time as effectively as possible to get the most amazing photos and videos. What about for you?
Everyone wants that sunset time slot, don't they? Like, I feel like regardless, like, look, there's most people post photos on Instagram that are around that sunset time slot. Like they're usually our favorite photos, purely because, and I feel like it always is the way, is because by the end of that time, when it's coming to sunset, that's when everybody's most comfortable. So like, if you're nervous throughout the day, the first 20 minutes of photos is like semi-awkward. Do you know what I mean? And so therefore, like you guys are feeling a little bit like not your best. And by the end of the time that we've been together, it might be 45 minutes later, everybody is like relaxed. They've had a bit of liquid courage. They've had some food. So we no longer have those hangry brides or grooms, and everyone is feeling their best. They've experienced what it is to have their photo taken on their wedding day. There's so many emotions going around on that day, man. It's hectic.
I've got a hot tip, I reckon, that I try.
I love a good Tim hot tip.
Well. Tim's hot tips, right? And this is having an esky full of your favorite drinks, a couple of snacks, and then
a spare bottle of champagne to spray it on everybody. Yeah,
man. I usually, you know me, I've got a bottle of champagne in my back pocket ready to throw that baby up anywhere I can.
Bit of F1 vibes.
Oh man,
Danny Rick, eat your heart out.
Oh, I've got a story here. I'll go off on a bit of a tangent. I had a wedding a couple of months ago, and same thing. Had the bottle of champagne in my back pocket. It was coming towards the end of portraits, and we've already popped a few bottles of champagne. I thought, you know what? I'm gonna throw like the bottle kind of up in the air and see what happens. And I kind of threw it towards like the bride because like I knew she wanted to like pop it around and give it a bit of a spray.
This sounds so dangerous. I threw a bottle of champagne at a bride.
Not directly at the bride, but you never know. If you book me up, I may throw it directly at you. But so the groom grabbed it, popped it, and then sprayed all of the girls. So bridesmaids sprayed them all. And I'm like, oh no, what have I done? And then, so for about 2 seconds, they were like, what just happened? Like, are we like actually this soaked? And then they started laughing, and it was so funny, man. Like the girls loved it. Like it was such a vibe.
I feel like I get so I always like jokingly say to every single like couple or like whoever's spraying it, like always aim it at me. Like I will give you $1 if you hit me with that champagne. But like, man, the amount of times I legitimately just $1. I'm all about the dollars. I only take dollar coins with me. But I feel like so many times that I say this to people, man, I always am covered. The other morning I shot a wedding, and like the other week I shot a wedding, and in the morning it was like 11 a.m. and I'd already had like half a bottle of champagne poured all over me, and I was like, I smelled like a dirty pub at midnight. I remember, and it was like literally so early in the day, and I was like, oh man, this is not ideal at all. But anyway, bit of sticky champagne for your Saturday morning. Happy days.
How funny was that wedding we had a couple of weeks ago at the Grange? We won't name any names because I know the groom he felt a little bit awkward popping the champagne, and he didn't really know what to do. And we were giving him some encouragement. We're like, man, you just got to do it. Just gotta like do your inner F1 vibes. That's what I'm always saying to everybody. Like, think you just won a Grand Prix and you're on that podium spraying that $100,000 bottle of champagne. Yeah, for sure. Oh man, it was so funny. Like it was so funny. So yeah, like we had a bit of a laugh at his technique, and he's like, "You guys are making fun of me, aren't you?" Like, nah, man, nah. I definitely want to make a reel out of this.
That night there's a reel uploaded before you've even like got home.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, don't go onto my Instagram above below visuals and look at the one of the champagne popping reels with the song Pump It Up. Okay, just don't do it.
Yeah, because the song takes about like it's like 30 seconds long, and the whole time it's pumping it up. I'll tell you that much. So good. We shouldn't laugh at people, but look, it definitely adds to the vibes on the day, regardless. Like everybody becomes a little bit more relaxed, especially if there's always someone making a little bit of a fool of themselves accidentally.
Especially if your videographer is
great.
Literally like on the ground rolling in laughter.
Yeah, you've still got to hold that camera straight, like, but it's going to be from the ground. Oh, so good, man. It's yeah. Look, I feel like we've gone on a massive tangent right now.
Did. That was one question, right?
And we've made like 3 questions out of that one question, which I think is great. To be honest, we have covered a lot of stuff that like I definitely get asked on a regular basis, and look, a lot of the time for us, our job is easy when couples communicate to us how they're feeling and what is happening and what they want from the day. And yes, we have to potentially repeat ourselves a few times, but for me, I don't like, and I know you're the same team. Like, it doesn't matter how many times we repeat ourselves, because we want to make sure that the couples that we are booking have the most epic time. And if they're not feeling comfortable with us and not feeling like they can talk to us, they may not be our couple. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, completely agree. So I think it's pretty. Oh, excuse me.
Tim is coughing right now, so we'll have to put a pause in for that one.
Man, I think I was coughing last week as well. But look, I've got 2 kids under 2, and they constantly sick. So good. I feel like I'm always sick. But yeah, look, man, I agree. Like whenever I have a conversation like with a new couple, like we always kind of go through a process where we figure out like what are the expectations of the wedding, and then I'll set it clear, like this is who I am. Like if you guys want to have a bit of fun, like let's make sure that we can make this day like how you want it, right? Because I want to make sure I can serve you as best as I can. And like I may not be for everyone, and that's completely fine. But
that is human nature. Like everyone is different for a reason, right? Like, so it doesn't mean we work with every single couple or anything like that. Like, I know I don't ever really get like, I'm not offended if somebody goes a different way. It just means that we weren't right for each other, and that's totally fine. And then someone else will come along that is. So yeah, I think that's cool. I'm not to like, I think it's definitely a part of the process that we do. And that's why we have meetings to talk to couples and pretty much have a Zoom meeting like with most couples prior to them booking us. I also have a question, I guess, that I get asked a lot, which I kind of want to throw in there. I know we're getting to the pointy end of this topic, and I feel like we could talk about this for hours, but I feel like this one's kind of important to a degree, because there's a lot of people out there who are looking to book their vendors as quick as they can. They've just got engaged. They're really excited, but they actually don't have a date. And I feel like it's very common. And I don't know if it's just the current period we're in with like the whole like catching up from COVID, people like knowing that like the next 12 to 24 months is a little bit hectic. And so they're just trying to like get out there. They're trying to get prices so they can try and start to budget towards their day and then make it work. Do you get asked that a fair bit? Like,
yeah.
I like what you do. How much do you charge? I don't have a date.
and then I get ghosted.
Yes, standard. Love a good ghosting. Please reply. If you have emailed us and like we've replied to you and you haven't replied, this is your like 2 cents to get on there and send us a message. Even if it means like, hey, we've decided to go a different direction. We won't be upset. We love it when people reply to us realistically, because it sucks when we get ghosted. But back on the subject like I guess talking about like we don't have a date. What's your pricing / availability? And I feel like that's a very big question. I love it when I get that question. I love it when I go on expo and the couple's like, hey, we're just like new into planning and here we are. And we're like just experiencing what like this whole wedding world is, and it's hectic and we're really overwhelmed, like all of the above. But I guess the reason why I love it is purely because there's flexibility, hopefully, around that couple. And therefore they can find a venue that suits them. They can find vendors that make them excited, and they can hopefully line up a few of us and, make the magic happen.
Yeah. Like I love it for the fact that like you're excuse me, you're able to like really like introduce like a brand new like couple that's freshly engaged into like a world of like, here are your options. Like, you need to like, here are the options, and you need to do like what you feel is best for you guys, and like you can help them, guide them through that process. So for me, I'm like, I don't just like recommend, like a venue, or I don't just like recommend like any other vendor really, until I figure out like who they are and who would be best suited to serve them. So that's why I do love that question. But when and like for me, right, like when a couple comes to me and like they're that excited, like just to book me, like, man, that gives me so much like joy. Like, I get so pumped and so
Oh,
excited when like a
it's such
couple
a,
are
I feel
just
like it's
like,
such an honor. Hey,
I have to have you, man. Like, I
yeah,
just have to have like Tim, or I just have to have Matt photograph my wedding. Like, it's
yeah.
just like,
When
like
they move
your
their
work
date
is
for you,
valued.
it's like, what?
Yeah. Like
It's
for me.
yeah. Are you serious? Like, what the heck? Yeah, I always like pinch myself moments when those things happen. Hey, like, and like, we're not trying to toot our horn here, but like, it does happen time to time. And like, I suppose that's where the flexibility around all of this, like, we don't have a date, and like, what can we do and help us out? And like, how do we do this whole thing? Like, if you imagine how much easier it would be if you had like a photographer, a videographer, maybe a celebrant, and a venue all lined up before you've like actually locked anything in, like officially, and you've kind of like penciled us all in, all four of us, or three of us, or two of us are like available.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how much easier that process would be.
Yeah, I know, right? Like instead of going it by yourself, like you can talk to someone that does 30, 40, 50, 60. I don't know, you're probably creeping up to 80 weddings a year.
1.2 million in 2022.
It's crazy. But like, leverage like our experience and like the network and the relationships we have with the vendors that we do know, to be able to like enable you to have a wedding that like is completely suited like for you. So I think it's a massive thing that couples kind of like don't necessarily realize. Like, utilize your vendors, guys.
We're here to help. Hey, like, that's the thing. Like, we're not like, I always say to most couples, like, just because I'm shooting your wedding on the whatever it is in 2023 or 2024 doesn't mean that you have to do this alone. Like, between now and then, like, I'm here to help. I want to make sure you guys have a good time. And a part of that is feeling comfortable in contacting, reaching out, sending me an Instagram message, asking for help. A lot of these things we can, like, if there's any anxieties around this stuff, we can fix that really quickly for you in like a quick Instagram message. And it's like, imagine how much anxiety that takes off your plate. If you have never done it before, you've never done this planning thing, you're freaking out and you just want some help. Like, man, we've done it before. We're here to help. Usually it takes us 10 seconds to reply to something, and improve the experience on the day.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, we've gone through this so many times. So
yeah, it's definitely something that we've got experience with. So all right, I think we are kind of getting to the point in, like, as I said, we can kind of talk about so much stuff. Like, I feel like we'll probably have to come back to this topic, I reckon, in a few months' time and relive it all and talk about some more to do with, I guess, the initial stages and the initial planning of your wedding and what that looks like. Look, if you guys have questions, feel free to jump on our Instagram pages, or even our podcast Instagram, which we've just launched. Jump on there, make it epic .podcast on Instagram, and flick us a message if you want us to help you. Like, we're here for you guys, and we don't want you to feel like you're doing it alone.
Yeah, let us know what you think of our new logos.
Oh yeah, I don't know about the orange, but we'll see how we go on. It's a bit different. Yeah, you're a fan. That's good. Love that. Hey, I want to ask you a quick question before we go. What are you up to this week, mate? Are you shooting weddings this weekend? What's happening?
I actually I've got a free weekend. I've got a wedding on the Monday. So we're shooting elopement at Secret Garden. We got the Elope on the Coast team, so that should be pretty cool. Pretty pumped for that. But it's actually my last kind of free weekend before the wedding season really kind of kicks off, and I don't have a free wedding weekend for months.
You're living the dream, mate. Yeah. I'm at Seacliff House tomorrow. It's Wednesday tomorrow, and I'm shooting a 120-person wedding on a Wednesday. Love that. Midweek weddings, more of them. It's awesome.
Good is that, man? That's one of my favorite venues. Oh.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. So it's going to be sick. And then, I've got a wedding Friday and Saturday. And then, we're together on Monday again too. So it's a fun time, hey? All happening. So, look, really appreciate all of you guys listening to us today, talking about all things initial wedding email questions.
Yeah, let us know if this helped you guys out. So if you're a couple, a bride, a groom listening to this, and you're a little bit confused and it's a little bit daunting, no one said wedding planning was easy. But if you think you got a bit of value out of this, if you think there's some golden nuggets you can take home and you can utilize to help make that wedding planning process a little bit easier for yourself, let us know. We'd love to hear. So we're probably gonna launch very soon. So this will be out in the next week or so. But we might post a couple of snippets on Instagram. But we'd love to hear from you. Just let us know. Out of 10, how do we go?
Love it. Easy. Well, you have a good night, mate. And look, we're excited to speak to you guys in a week's time. Thanks for joining us on the Make It Epic Wedding Podcast. And yeah, take care. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.